Hi, Susan. It's Thursday. Time for Thirsty Thursday. How are you today?
Good. Can't wait to dive into a couple of things. So the first of them, Will, that we were talking about was this week marks a year since the murder of George Floyd. And I think last year, immediately after that happened, everybody sort of went up in arms, which is a good thing, I guess, even though it took as long as it did. A lot of mainstream awareness was created and brands committed to making change, right? There was a lot of the black squares on Instagram and everyone sort of saying, this has got to change. Here's how we're committing to equity following an incident like this and stuff. So obviously over the course of the year, there's been various people who've called for accountability and saying, how are we doing on all that change you promised to make brands? And some people probably are going slower than they should, or there was lots of performative and, token action. That said, there are some brands who got it right. So I thought, in the interest of keeping it positive, we should focus on who said they would do something and then, actually did it.
So who are a few of the ones that people are saying got it right?
Yeah, so here are some of the brands. I think we've talked about a few of them over the course of our Thirsties, but one of them was Aunt Jemima, who,
the rebrand, yeah.
The rebrand, and they called it Pearl Milling Company. And the other one was Uncle Ben, which has just become Ben's Original or something along those lines. There's also, the one I got trolled for, Dr. Seuss, where people called me a Nazi for saying books should come off the shelves. That one, that company did make a pretty big stance in taking back those 6 books, which were sort of like heritage. So yeah, there's a bunch of them. We'll put a link in at the bottom.
Yeah,
so
very cool, very cool.
But in general, I think there's some forward movement in a few areas, and it's cool to see.
I wanted to talk about Instagram and how they just launched a new shopping feature. So they have a shopping feature that's done quite well. I was reading that selling on social media platforms increased by 38% over the past year, which was way more than experts thought would happen. So Instagram has now added to their shopping feature something called drops. This is kind of like something that's hyped up, and it's going to be dropped on a certain day, and it's going to be popular, and it will only be there for a limited time. That's what drops is used for, as opposed to their other shopping features, which I can totally see, right? Like right now, everything's about the latest collaboration, this limited edition shoe, this whatever. So that's what Instagram drops will be used for. So an influencer can, do some hype, sell a product, and then get out of there. But you see how this is really like, Amazon itself, they added to their shopping section, they added a whole section on what's big in social media. So like for the top virtual hits on social media, Amazon now has a subcategory for that. So you see that these influencers, these young influencers, the clothing they wear is very much influencing that Gen Z generation, and they're doing a lot of shopping and buying by what their favorite influencer is wearing. Even when it comes all the way down to just streetwear and t-shirts, it's not necessarily the latest Fendi bag. So very interesting.
Cool. So yeah, I guess this idea of scarcity marketing has always worked, right, on various levels, and putting it into social commerce is logical, I would say.
What next do you want to talk about?
What was the other one? Yeah. Interesting. I don't know if this platform is brand new or not, but we discovered it this week. It's a platform called Pep Talk, which I discovered, on which you can go, and on Pep Talk, this platform, you could go in and spend 40 or 50 bucks for a customized little message from like a motivational speaker with some inspirational quotes and whatever it is. And I thought it was really interesting. It's a sort of sign of the times. Many people are feeling sort of down and out, and with lockdowns over an extended period of time, loss and death and misery. I thought it was interesting, that someone took the idea of Cameo, where you could, for example, have Snoop Dogg send you a personal message, and they've put a motivational talk spin on it. So that was interesting.
So is it like, I'm like, I think Susan needs a pep talk today. I can go on there, pay 40 bucks, get an inspirational, motivational speaker to record something I want them to record, then I get to send it to you and be like, hey, Susan, here's some words of wisdom from
Brene Brown. Well,
XYZ,
she's
right?
not on
Yeah.
she's not on the platform, but here's something
Yeah.
from Brene Brown where, it
Cool.
may or may not be like done on the spot. I think they probably add things into existing stuff, but I was like, well, that's an interesting take
That
on
is interesting.
an idea that exists. So that was cool.
Excellent. One other thing I wanted to talk about, I mentioned Amazon when I was talking about the Instagram drops, but Amazon, even yesterday, I'm sure you saw this too, they bought MGM TV and movie studios for $8 billion, which is, I read, the second biggest acquisition or the second most costly acquisition. When they bought Whole Foods a few years ago, that was the most costly. But so for $8 billion, they now have that whole library of some very famous, very amazing movies and TV shows. So I guess this means that coming to Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, coming to Prime soon, a lot of good stuff. And I'm sure there are some naysayers here, maybe some people who are purists and don't like the idea of MGM being owned by Amazon now, or also just the fact that this is one more little step Amazon's taking to own all of America and the world. So I don't know. What do you think? Are you excited about some new movies coming to Prime?
I think so. I mean, selfish as it is, I'm like, great, Prime's about to get better. Those are some stories that caught our eye this week. That said, here's our quick podcast plug for the week as well. This week we spoke to Laura Beauparlant on all things branding for small business. And I think what I enjoyed particularly was the chat we had with her around how is it that sort of younger, newer brands think about what's in the future, like what content properties might you make, might you have a podcast, and how branding has come a long way from like letterheads to sort of thinking about this aspect of brand building. So check that out. The links in the chat.
Okay, well, cheers, Susan. Happy Thirsty Thursday.